Let me ask you a question. Would you plan a wedding without telling your guests where the venue is? Or would you go on a treasure hunt without a map? I'm pretty sure the answer is no, so building a WordPress website without a sitemap is, Yup, this is a video for WordPress users. If you're not a WordPress user, you may need to do something like this on your own or spend money on all these tools. So we highly recommend that you get into WordPress and use RankMath because firstly, it is free and secondly, it is hassle-free. 2 frees in a row. Alright, just to clarify, search engines like Google don't actually require you to have a sitemap because at this day and age, they are smart enough to crawl most of the URLs on your website, but it is highly encouraged for every website to have one because there are just some parts of your website that may be hard for search engines to reach, but with a sitemap, it becomes easier. Okay, what's a sitemap, you may ask? There are 2 types of sitemaps. One is for your site visitors called HTML sitemaps. It is basically a page that lists all the links on your website. If your site navigation is poorly linked, a HTML sitemap may help, but if your site navigation is well structured, there is no point in having a HTML sitemap because it has little to no positive impact on SEO. So we'll not be talking about this sitemap, but we'll be talking about the other sitemap that is meant for search engines. It is essentially a document that lists all the URLs of your pages, posts, videos, images, products, etc. of your website that you want search engines to crawl and index. Now, though having a sitemap for search engines is good, a poorly optimized sitemap might negatively affect your website. So in this video, we're talking about the best practices, the benefits, and I'll walk you through step by step on how to set up a sitemap on a new website with RankMath. And I'll show you how to submit the sitemap to Google. Halfway through the video, you'll understand how RankMath has made everything easy, efficient, and effective for you as a site owner. So let's go. Hey, it's Jack here from RankMath, the WordPress SEO plugin that gives your business the best chance of beating your competitors on search engines. We put out a lot of videos to help you grow your search traffic, so consider subscribing to our channel to get SEO and business knowledge delivered straight to your YouTube notification. Alright, before I walk you through how to set up and configure your sitemap, it's always important to know the guidelines before we do anything. This is the general sitemap guidelines by Google. If you want to go in detail on this document, we have left a link in the description, but let me just share with you the important points. If your website has multiple versions, like for example having a www, you want to provide Google with the exact URL with the www. Do not miss that out. The key is the exact URL of the page you want Google to crawl. And also, do not add tracking codes or IDs on your URL. Add your sitemap to the root folder of your website. If you don't know where it is, basically it's the main folder in the file manager of your website. Don't worry about this. If you follow what I'll show you later on, you don't even have to access your file manager and create the sitemap manually. If your website has multiple languages, you have to use this hreflang annotations. If your website is super huge with lots of URLs, note that one sitemap can contain up to a maximum of 50,000 URLs, and it must not exceed 50 megabytes. Also, Google recommends that you should use a sitemap index file to list all the individual sitemaps. For example, if you have a post sitemap that lists all your post URLs and you have another product sitemap that lists all your products, you should have a sitemap index file that consolidates all the individual sitemaps into one. So you will only need to submit the sitemap index to Google. Anyway, let's continue. We need to list only the canonical URLs, which means if your website has duplicated pages such as service pages with different currencies and prices, you will want to add a canonical URL on all the duplicated pages pointing to only one version of the page, assuming this is the main currency you are dealing in. So only this URL should be entered into the sitemap. You don't want to add the rest of the URLs. The key here is, it takes resources for Google and other search engines to crawl your pages, and they dislike duplicated content because it wastes their crawl budget. And the more duplicated content you feed to the web crawlers, the more they will overlook the content you actually want them to crawl. So please only add the URLs you want Google to crawl in your sitemap. If you have other media types you want Google to crawl and index, for example, you want your images to appear on the image tab of Google, or you want your videos to appear on the videos tab of Google, then you want to use the sitemap extensions, which we have for you in RankMath. And finally, since Google ignores the priority and change frequency values on the sitemap, which many popular SEO plugins use, and considers only the last mod value, in RankMath, we follow very closely with the guidelines by excluding those unnecessary values, making it efficient for any WordPress sites. So that's what you need to know about the guidelines. Now let's talk about the benefits and why you should have a sitemap for your website. The main benefit, especially for new websites, is to improve the search visibility of your website. If your website has little to no backlinks, Google and other search engines may not even know that your website exists. It will probably take them a long time to discover the contents of your site, so submitting your sitemap is the first thing that every website should do to let search engines know of your site's existence. It makes total sense. There are millions of new websites and pages surfacing the internet every day, so if you don't even take the step to notify search engines, how would they know if your site exists, right? The second benefit is especially helpful for sites that are constantly updating. For example, affiliate sites or e-commerce sites, because sitemaps notify search engines and let them know when the last modified version of this URL is, and they will crawl the page accordingly. And finally, if your website has a lot of orphan pages which you shouldn't have, it means pages on your website that will not link from other pages on your site. Having a sitemap will allow search engines to discover those pages. So now that we know the benefits of a sitemap, don't you think sitemap is a must-have for all new websites? Anyway, let's talk about how you can create a sitemap easily with RankMath. The first thing you gotta do on your WordPress dashboard is to go to Plugins and Installed Plugins. You wanna ensure that the RankMath plugin is installed and activated. Once you have done that, you'll be asked to connect your RankMath account. If you have an existing account, you can connect it. Otherwise, you can register a new account here. Once you have connected and activated your account, you'll be led to the setup wizard. In case you don't see this page, you want to go back to RankMath's dashboard and click on the setup wizard. It will lead you back to the same page. Now, we highly recommend that you select the advanced mode because you will access many more modules than if you have chosen the easy mode. Let's continue with the setup. You can go through the setup wizard at your pace, but we highly recommend connecting RankMath with the Google account you wish to manage your Google Search Console and analytics, because it makes the whole process seamless. I'll show you what I mean. Let's say that I connect RankMath to this Google account. It will ask you for permission to access all these information, and it is important that you check all these. Now, although we have access to your data, we don't store it on our server. The permission is for us to access the data and store it directly on your site's database. So you don't have to worry about us getting hold of your data. This is for us to execute our duties properly. Once you have connected your site to your Google account, you will realize your site is already verified with Search Console, so you don't have to verify it manually. And then here's what you need to do. Keep this toggled on and make sure that all the assets you wish to be included in your sitemap to be indexed by Google are toggled on. Don't worry about the news and video sitemaps, we'll talk about them later. And as you click on Save and Continue, go through the wizard, and as you are back on the dashboard, go to Sitemap Settings and you will see your sitemap index page here. That's how simple it is to create a sitemap on RankMath. Click on this link. And do you remember one of Google's guidelines is to have a sitemap index to consolidate all the individual sitemaps? This is the sitemap index. And these are the links to the individual sitemaps that will contain all the URLs of each post type you wish Google to index. Any links that are marked with a canonical URL or a no index meta tag will not be included in the sitemaps. Another best practice, if you remember, we made following the best practices super easy. But how do you add a canonical URL? For example, we have these URLs on a post sitemap. I made this obvious. This is the duplicated page, and this is the page that Google needs to crawl. So this page shouldn't be on the sitemap. Let me copy the main page URL and let's visit the duplicated page. Over on the blog editor, let's click on RankMath at the top right and select Advanced, which is the second icon from the left. Under the canonical URL, you want to paste in the page you want Google to crawl. And if you update this page, head back to your sitemap, and if you refresh this page, the duplicated page URL will be gone. As you can see here, simple and easy. Everything is streamlined for you. Now let me walk you through how to submit your sitemap to search engines before talking about the sitemap configurations. In fact, you don't even need to submit your sitemap manually if you are using RankMath. I'll show you what I mean. To submit your sitemap to Google, you need to access the Google Search Console with the account you have connected with RankMath. If you don't know how to access this page, just do a Google search on this. If not, we have left a link in the description. Now to start, let's click on Start Now. Make sure that this is the Google account you have used earlier to connect with RankMath. Then on the top left, you will see your website verified on Google Search Console. To submit a sitemap, click on Sitemaps. If you are using RankMath, you will see that we have automatically submitted a sitemap for you. So you don't have to actually do anything. But remember, we have removed one URL when we have added the canonical tag. So in total, we should have one less than this. So let's submit our sitemap manually. Let's go to the sitemap settings of our site. Let's copy the sitemap index link and back to Google Search Console. We want to paste the link here and make sure that we only keep the URL slug and hit submit. It is just that simple. Now, it may be insignificant to configure the sitemap settings when your site is new, and there are so many settings on RankMath that could confuse you. I highly recommend that you watch this through so you know what exactly these settings are. So when your site gets bigger, you will know how to manage your sitemaps. The first thing we're going to talk about is the links per sitemap. This is the maximum number of URLs that will be listed on each sitemap. Google's guideline is to be not more than 50,000 URLs, but it is very seldom that a website will have that many links. This number was 1,000 in our previous default setting, but we find that Google responds better to a smaller sitemap. So we have reduced the default value to 200, and that's our recommended setting. As for the images in sitemaps, you know, if you want your images on your posts and pages to appear on the image tab of Google, you want to keep this turned on. And with search results now having visual assets displayed, it makes total sense to get your visual assets indexed. The same thing here. Depending on how you design your posts and pages, your featured image may not be displayed and may not be included in the sitemap. So you want to turn this on to add your featured images in your sitemap. Now this is for RankMath Pro users only. If you have installed a plugin called Advanced Custom Fields to, for example, create a page template and you want those dynamic assets used on different pages and posts to be added in the sitemap, then you want to go to RankMath's dashboard and toggle this ACF module on. And as you head back to the sitemap settings, you will see this include images from the ACF views. This is a useful feature as more WordPress web designers are using custom views for post and page design templates. Now, for some reason, you want a particular page, post, or custom post type to be excluded from your sitemap, you can paste the post ID here. Every WordPress page will have a unique ID. Just go to your list of posts, click on Edit, and on the URL, you'll see something like post equals the post number. And in this case, this is post number 1, which is the post ID of this page. So on your sitemap setting, under this exclude post, if you want to exclude post number 1, just put the post ID here. Now, before I hit save changes, take note that this is post number 1. As I save changes and I refresh the sitemap, that page is gone from the post sitemap. The same goes for the taxonomies, which are the categories and tags. Similarly, if you visit the list of category pages, click on Edit, and you will see the category and tag ID equals 1. This is the unique ID of this category. And that is the exact number you want to add to exclude a particular category page from the sitemap. So for example, on the sitemap index, let's go to the category sitemap. This is the category page we want to exclude from the sitemap. And remember, this is just for an example. As I save changes and I refresh the category sitemap page, you will see the category URL gone. Next, if you don't want to manually submit a sitemap every time there are changes and you want RankMath to automatically do that for you, then keep this turned on. So we will ping search engines or nudge the search engines whenever there are changes to your sitemap. We have your best interest at heart. Let's head up. Now, for most sites, you won't need to bother about the author sitemaps, especially if you only have one author on your site. But if you have multiple authors, like a news site where people are looking for articles explicitly written by an author, then it will make sense to have an author sitemap. You won't see this here by default because under the titles and meta and under authors, by default, the author robots meta is set to no index. But if it is set to index, you will see the author's sitemap settings here. You can control which author to appear on the sitemap by excluding user roles. And if there is a particular author you do not want to add to the sitemap, you can go to all users and select the user you want to exclude by clicking on edit. And right at the top on the URL, you will see user ID equals 3. 3 is the number you want to add back at your sitemap setting over here, and hit save changes. This is very useful as your site grows and the number of authors increases. Now let's talk about the sitemap settings for each post type. For posts, you will see your individual sitemap link here, and this is basically a part of the sitemap index as I've shown you. It makes total sense to keep this setting on so that any new, updated or deleted posts will be reflected on the sitemap. If you toggle this off, what is the point of having a sitemap in the first place, right? Then the image custom fields, again this is for pro users only. If you have toggled the include images from the ACF fields on, then you don't actually need to add those fields from ACF here. But if you use custom fields from WordPress or other plugins, then you will want to add the field name of the custom field here. And the image will be added to the count here. That's all you need to know about the post sitemap. The same applies to the sitemap for pages, so I don't need to explain much. Now for attachments. By default on WordPress, every image and media on your website will have an individual page like this. And because it is not recommended for these attachment pages to be indexed due to thin content, which could negatively impact your website's SEO, we have added this redirect attachments feature. So all the media attachment pages will be redirected to the post they appear in and will not have its own page. In this case, the image has not been used on any pages of the website, so it will be redirected to the home page instead. Our recommendation for this include in sitemap for attachment pages is to keep it off. But if for some reason you need to turn this on, if you click on the toggle button, nothing will happen. And it is because of the setting I've mentioned. You need to go to general settings and under links, you can toggle this off and save changes. You need to go to titles and meta as well. Under attachments, you want to toggle the media robots meta to index so that all the media attachment URLs will be added to the sitemap when it is available. Anything set to no index will not be included in the sitemap. Let's save changes, and as you head back to the sitemap settings and select attachments, you can toggle this on so that the individual media attachment page URLs will be added to the attachment sitemap as you can see here. But this is not our recommended setting. We highly recommend that you turn this back on. Anyway, back to the sitemap settings. Now let's talk about the sitemap settings for forums. Depending on what forum plugin you use, it will create additional post types as you can see. I've added the BB Press plugin, and that's why you see these 3 post types together with the topic tags. If you install other plugins like discussion boards, it will only create a topic post types by default. So it really depends on the plugin you use. RankMath will detect any post types added by other plugins, and it will create an individual sitemap link to each of the post types with the same settings accordingly, as you can see. Anyway, if you run a forum, it will make sense that you want Google to index the forum pages, the topics within the forum, and the replies within the topics. For example, if this is a support forum of your brand, you definitely want your users to be able to find your support forum questions and answers on search engines. It helps with your customer service, it increases your brand value, which inherently improves SEO. So it makes sense that you want to add the forum, the topics, and the replies to the sitemap. I won't talk about the image custom fields as they are the same as what I've discussed in other post types. Let's go to products. If you have installed WooCommerce on your site, you will see this post type in the sitemap setting. It just makes sense for your products to be added to your sitemap because you want your products to be indexed on search engines. And then if you have added a quiz plugin, like in this case, I've added a plugin called WP Quiz Pro, it will add a new post type here. It really depends on the plugin you use that determines if the post type will appear here. So if you have created quiz landing pages that target very important keywords that will drive leads and sales to your business, you definitely want to include your quizzes into the sitemap for indexing, as those pages will drive organic traffic that will eventually convert into business for you. Now for taxonomies, it is not that straightforward. Generally for post categories and tags, we recommend to index categories and add them to the sitemap, and no index for tags, so the URLs of the tag pages would not be added in the sitemap. But it really depends on you. Let me give you an example for categories and then I'll talk about the tags later. Let's say that you run a movie review website and you have a category with the name Best Movie of the Year. This is like the featured category. You have created this category at the start of your website. This category will include all the individual movie reviews, and whenever you find a good movie, you will add that movie review to this category. Then after a couple of years, you have decided, okay, I'll write an article targeting the keyword Best Movie of the Year. That should drive more traffic to my website, right? So now you have two pages trying to rank for the same keyword. This usually happens by accident. So since there is this conflicting interest, the question to ask is, which page do you value more if it is ranked on search engines? Most likely the category page is already ranked, so should you upgrade your category page for more user actions? Or will it be better if your post article gets ranked instead? If it is the latter, then you want to no index the category page. As for tags, the reason why we recommend no indexing is because of thin content and duplicate content. Categories allow for hierarchy and it should be well thought out for good site navigation, while tags do not have hierarchy. In most cases, you can create tags without much thought, and it will probably have 1 or 2 posts in a tag archive, and even if there are more items, most likely they will contain similar posts across different tag archives. Google will most probably flag those tag archive pages for thin content or duplicated content. So in general sense, we will not add them to the sitemap. So for category pages, we want to include them in the sitemap, but if the category has no posts added to them, you do not want to add them to the sitemap because of thin content. Keep this setting off unless you know what you are doing. I'll quickly run through the rest. For tags, keep this off because we don't want them to be indexed. Now for topic tags, this is created by the forum plugin I've added. It consolidates all the topic tags you have created that allows you to sort topics in the topic tag archive. And again, the key here is, does it add value to your site visitors? If yes, you will want to add it to your sitemap for indexing. And obviously, you want to exclude empty tags. Now for products, it is a little different. Some product owners prefer to use tags to organize their products based on different attributes instead of using product categories. So in that case, it makes sense to add the URLs of the product tag archives in the sitemap for indexing. So whichever taxonomy you prefer to organize and sort your products, and you think it adds value to your site visitors, you want to index that taxonomy. I'll leave this to you to decide. We do not want to touch this include empty terms in any of the taxonomies unless you know what you are doing. Now let's talk about the special sitemaps that we have prepared for you. All these are meant for pro users, so let's start with the new sitemap. If you are a pro user and you don't see this, then you want to go to the Rank Maps dashboard, scroll down a little, and you will see this new sitemap module. You want to toggle this on. Once you've done that, on your sitemap settings, you will see the new sitemap here. The benefit for having this new sitemap is for your articles to get a place on the Google News. I'm not sure if you have used Google News before. Sometimes you'll get a notification on the latest news of your interest on your phone, on your tablet, or whichever device you use. And what's awesome about Google News is the news feeds are personalized. So if your content is aligned with someone else's interests, they may be notified. Your articles do not necessarily need to be news like those from BBC, NBC, CNA, or whatever. Also, if somebody searches a keyword on Google and they click on the News tab, they may see your article as well. So with the help of a new sitemap, it may drive traffic to your website, but there are some rules. For example, you should include URLs for articles that were published in the last 2 days, and you need to remove them thereafter. In Rank Maps new sitemap, we do that automatically for you. you can add up to 1,000 URLs in a sitemap, and if there are more than 1,000 URLs in a sitemap, you need to break them up into multiple sitemaps. It's nothing new here. And don't list more than 50,000 URLs in a single sitemap file. Again, nothing new here. It will also show you the required sitemap format. If you want to get into the details of this page, you can visit this link. I've left it in the description as well. But if you use RankMath's new sitemap and you follow along this video, you never have to worry about following the guidelines because we made it seamless for you. Anyway, to start, we have the new sitemap link here. All the articles that qualify as news based on the setting below will be included here. You see, all this listed on the news sitemap are articles from the post that is created through here. If you select products, then all the products you have created recently will be added to the new sitemap. So as long as there is a new article or whatever is published under the selected post type will be added to the new sitemap. Anyway, we recommend selecting only the post types that make sense to be added to the new sitemap. Do not select everything. Now, what if you don't want a particular article in the post type to be added in the new sitemap? For example, this. What can you do? We can visit the page, go to the WordPress blog editor, click on RankMaths tab, select Advanced, and right at the bottom, you can choose to select No Index so that this article will not be added to the new sitemap. So as I update and I refresh the new sitemap, that article will be gone. Now don't worry about this no index. The no index doesn't apply to the entire article. It is meant for the new sitemap only. Your article will still be indexed normally. Now back to the new sitemap, we have the Google News publication name, which are these website names here. We have the Tech Radar, the Straits Times, Search Engine Journal. So if your site name is, for example, Jack's Pets News, you want to add the exact name here. But in this case, the name of this website is RankMath Tester. I'll put the exact name here. Let's scroll further down, and over here you can exclude article URLs to be added to the new sitemap based on the categories and tags they are sorted under. That's basically it. In this case, every new post article will be added to the new sitemap for 2 days, and then it will automatically be removed, and whatever best practices you need to adhere to are done in the background for you. So you don't need to worry about a thing. Just write your content and let RankMath take care of everything for you. Now let's go to the video sitemap. Needless to say, if you embed any videos on your article or product, it makes sense to add the article or product URL containing the video onto the video sitemap because it helps your article to show up on the video tab on Google. As you can see, there is the video snippet, and this is the page that contains the video. If you click on the video, it will not bring you anywhere other than the article that contains the video, and you will find the video within the article. So even if you do not have a YouTube channel of your own, for example, and you embed videos from other channels to your article, it can drive traffic to your article. Your article will have more visibility in this sense. And if you have a YouTube channel and you embed your own videos on your articles, that's even better. More exposure for both your article and your channel. Anyway, this is the video sitemap link that contains all the URLs with videos. You can hide the video sitemap from normal users. This setting is off by default, and if you keep this off, the site visitors will be able to see the list of URLs with videos. But if you turn this on, if I log out from the website, and I refresh this page, they will see a 404 instead. We're back on the video sitemap. You can choose which post types that contains video to be added to the video sitemap. Choose only the ones that make sense to you. And finally, if you have added or embedded videos using custom fields, you will want to add the field names of the custom fields here, one per line as it states. Just one more thing to add, which is out of the video sitemap settings. On the video sitemap, you can see that there is no video thumbnail on the embedded video. You do not necessarily need to add one manually. RankMath has a way to auto-generate a video thumbnail. If you go to titles and meta, and if you select either one of these post types other than the attachments, you will see this auto-generate image setting. Now, since the video is embedded on a post, let's go to post, and if we toggle this on and save changes, all newly embedded videos on post articles will have a video thumbnail auto-generated. And for this case, since the video is already embedded before we turn the setting on, there is one more step to go. Go to Status and Tools. Under the Database Tools, as you scroll down, you will see this option to generate video schema for all posts and pages. Click on Generate and OK. As we head back to the video sitemap and hit refresh, we will see the thumbnail automatically added to it. That's all you need to know about the video sitemap. Now let's talk about the local sitemap. Now, if you are a pro user and you have activated the local SEO and knowledge graph module, you will see the local sitemap here. This tab allows you to include a KML file to your local sitemap. But what's a KML file, right? KML means Keyhole Markup Language, and it is a file format used for storing geographical locations. Google uses this KML file to verify your business listing and location so that the exact location of your business will appear on applications like Google Maps and Google Earth. Your KML file will include the name of your business, the address, the phone number, and the geo coordinates of your business. So to add those information, you need to go to the titles and meta of Rank Math, and under local SEO, I'm pretty sure your business is going to be an organization. As you scroll down, you will see the name of your business, the address, you want to add your business address here, the phone number for your customer service or whatever you choose here, and you want to add the phone number here. And finally, the geo coordinates as I've added here. If you want to know how to find your business location's geo coordinates, you can visit this link. We have left this link in the description as well. If you are a business owner, we highly recommend that you go through this written tutorial to help you better understand how our local SEO module will work for your business. Anyway, we have added our geo coordinates, and now back to the local sitemap settings. We have toggled this on, and as we click on the locations KML file, we will see the location of our business here with the address, phone number, and the geo coordinates. So many settings, but I hope it is simple and easy for you to understand what each setting does and how it affects your website. Up to this point, if this video helped, please do us a little favor and smash that thumbs up button. We really appreciate that. That's all the sitemap configurations we have for you. Now, let's talk about some common sitemap issues you may encounter. So we have a list of sitemap issues that we have covered in detail in this link. I've left it in the description as well. In case you don't find your issue in this video, you may want to visit this page. But right now, let me cover the most common issues. If your sitemap link is showing a 404 error, here's what you need to do. Step 1 is to flush your permalinks. Sounds complicated, but it is very easy. On your WordPress dashboard, go to Settings and Permalinks. Even if you have not made any changes, scroll to the bottom and hit Save Changes, and the permalinks will be flushed. Step 2 is to flush the sitemap settings. You want to go to Rank Math and Sitemap Settings, and with this links per sitemap, if this is 200 or whatever number, you want to change this number to something else. For example, 201 or whatever number, as long as it is not the same. Don't worry about this, you can change this number back to normal later on. And then let's save changes, and your sitemap settings will be flushed. Step number 3 is to exclude the sitemap from caching. If you don't know what caching is, it is basically a separate version of your website stored on your web server so that your site can be delivered faster. It is like pre-making food so that it can be served much faster. The same concept applies to your site. You don't have to make an order whenever there is a request for your site, otherwise your web server will be very busy. So in this sense, your sitemap might not be cached with the previous version of your website, and that's why your site is showing a 404 page. So you will want to exclude your sitemap from caching because it should stay up to date with your changes. Otherwise, it defeats the purpose of having a sitemap. If you want to know how to exclude the sitemap from the caching plugins you use, then you want to check this page out. I'm pretty sure we have documented the steps for all the caching plugins, but if your caching plugin is not in the page, do let us know in the comments. Now, you should see your sitemap already, but if you still can't access it, the final step is to check with your web host to see if any security plugins are causing the issue. If yes, you might want to ask them to exclude the sitemap from the firewall and rerun the test again. I'm pretty sure by then your sitemap will be accessible. Now, if the sitemap index page shows a blank page like this, we recommend that you replace the URL slug with a question mark, sitemap, equals 1 and hit enter. If the sitemap loads, it means RankMath is able to successfully generate the sitemap of your website, but for some reason, it is unable to rewrite the generated sitemap to the sitemap index.xml page. So to solve this problem, if you are using an Nginx web server, you need to add this set of code to your Nginx config file to fix the issue. You can find this code on this URL. The link is in the description as well. But if your website is on an Apache server, then you will need to add this different set of code to the htaccess file of your website, which you can find on the general settings of RankMath and over at the edit.htaccess. After you have added the codes, you'll want to do the same steps I've mentioned earlier. Flush the permalinks, flush the sitemap settings, and exclude the sitemap from caching. That's it! That's all you need to know about sitemaps, and I hope you are now one step closer to becoming an SEO expert to explode your site traffic. If this video helped, don't forget to smash that thumbs up button. Thank you. Appreciate it. If you have any other questions, feel free to leave a comment down below. We'll do our best to help you out. Do subscribe and hit the bell notification to get SEO and business knowledge delivered straight to your YouTube notification. This is Jack from RankMath. I'll see you in the next video.